Joining us now, Congressman Gerry Connolly of the Commonwealth of Virginia, member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, and the incoming ranking member of the House Oversight Committee. As always, Congressman Connolly, thank you for coming to the Saturday show. Just your thoughts and reaction to the chaos on Capitol Hill at the behest, really, of Elon Musk.
So I think it's really ominous for the incoming Republican majority in the Congress. There were three big losers this week. Donald Trump, who got eclipsed by an unelected billionaire who, as you pointed out, was ranting and raving with 150 tweets filled with disinformation, self-interest, self-dealing, made up fabricated facts, distortions. And all of this was designed by President Trump and Elon Musk to essentially sneak in a debt ceiling extension so they can get a $2.5 trillion tax cut next year in reconciliation. That failed miserably. 38 Republicans, in the face of a threat of primary challenges, said, we're not going to do that. The second big loser, Speaker Mike Johnson. I think his speakership is on life support going into January 3rd, and I think we're probably going to face multiple votes on a new speaker. Because he showed the Peter Principle par excellence. He rose to the highest level of his own incompetence, and it was painfully public. And the third big loser, of course, is the Republican majority itself. All of the striations, all of the fractures are painfully evident to the public and to you and me that they don't have it. They can't get a working majority. It's a very unstable caucus.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, and then there's Elon Musk. And I think that's a very troubling development that an unelected South African billionaire would intrude in the legislative process as intimately as he did. And it's even more troubling that, unfortunately, on the Republican side of the aisle, there were a lot of bootleggers willing to go along with that.
Now, I'm glad you brought up the central role that Elon Musk played in the drama this week, because a lot of people are saying, you know, as we showed your colleague, Congresswoman DeLauro, just calling him, you know, President Musk. Donald Trump's spokesperson, incoming press secretary Caroline Leavitt, put out this statement, said President Trump is the leader of the Republican Party, full stop. But is that really true? Because all hell broke loose on Capitol Hill, not because of anything Donald Trump said, but because of what Elon Musk said.
I think that's right. It was Elon Musk who was driving the derailment of the original bill. It was Elon Musk who tried to get initially the debt ceiling extension in the second bill. So it wasn't Donald Trump. Donald Trump came late to the game. And I think it really kind of showed a weakness in the president-elect that had not been there heretofore or suspected heretofore. And it, as I said, raises really profound questions about who is this unelected billionaire who apparently is calling the shots for the president-elect and his transition team even before they're sworn into office.
Now, let's talk more about the speaker's race. Because that's going to happen. This is the 118th Congress we're in now. The 119th Congress is the first order of business is to swear them in, to swear you into another term. And then the very first order of business, once they're all sworn in, is to vote on a new speaker. There were people on Capitol Hill, and I don't have their names in front of me. I think it's Senator Rand Paul was one of them, maybe even Marjorie Taylor Greene in the House saying, Elon Musk should be the Speaker of the House. I can't even take that seriously. Who in the Republican caucus, if not Mike Johnson, could be the next Speaker?
I think we saw that game before, right? We had multiple votes, multiple candidates. Steve Scalise, the majority leader, had to drop out. Tom Emmer, their political guy, had to drop out. Jim Jordan faced daunting odds trying to get the election and had to drop out. And finally, they find this obscure Louisiana legislator no one's ever heard of before, Mike Johnson, and they say, well, how about you? Because there were no objections to him. That was the qualification. That really was a sorry statement about the talent that can rise to the top on the Republican side of the aisle. And I think they're going to face similar problems come January 3rd.
All right, now let's talk about your side of the aisle, the Democratic side of the aisle. You won the race to be the ranking member in the House Oversight Committee. You ran against Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You won decisively, 131 votes to 84 votes. What does that say, do you think, to the American people about where the Democratic Party is?
So I think there's been a lot of nonsense, frankly, on the generational change. What the Democratic caucus did was try to put their best generals on the battleground. Who's qualified? Who has proved their mettle? Who's got the skill set? And it had nothing to do with how old people were. It had to do with do they bring capability? Can they function? And that was the choice before my caucus. Alexandria's a rising star, has a lot of talent, but she's 3 terms. I'm going to begin my 9th. I've got a lot of experience. I know the committee backward and forward. I've been involved in every major issue in 16 years. I know how to take on the Republicans. I'm known as a bulldog. Those are skill sets we need as we face 4 more years of Trump and an unstable Republican majority.
Yeah, 4 more years of Trump. Are you ready to go toe-to-toe with not only the Republicans in the House, but maybe even also with the President of the United States?
I've done it before. So we beat Trump on the citizenship question on the census on my committee, and I helped lead that effort with the late Elijah Cummings. We beat him on abolishing the Office of Personnel Management, the HR agency for the entire federal government, which would have been disastrous and chaotic. We beat him on the issue of ascertainment. If you remember, after he lost the election, the head of the Government Service Administration had the power to ascertain who won the election. She wouldn't do it. And by not doing it, there was no transition. We forced her to do it. So we have a track record of beating Trump in his own game, in his own administration, and we're going to do it again.
Okay, Congressman, that's legislative successes. But what about when it comes to messaging? Because there's a lot of, when you listen to a lot of Democrats, it's always our messaging is wrong. Our messaging is wrong. We don't have the right messages, the right messaging, and we don't have the right messengers. And folks are looking to AOC because she's younger, has more followers on social media, that she was the person who could do that. Talk about the messaging piece of this.
So I built the Democratic majority. I was one of the key architects of building a Democratic majority from a Republican majority in Northern Virginia across the river. And it is now solidly Democratic. I did that by specializing in message. Take progressive ideas, but make them common sense, kitchen table language for the average voter. We failed to do that in the last election, and we got punished for it. So no esoteric language. No judgmental language, no finger pointing and lecturing. Let's meet voters where they are with our ideas, which we know are popular, but the language describing them is flawed. And so I'm an expert in doing that, and that's what we're going to do. We've got to be disciplined. We've got to be strategic. And by the way, we do know how to do it. Joe Biden beat Donald Trump as the incumbent president by 7 million votes. It's not like we don't know how to do it, but I think we lost our way.
Final question for you, Congressman, and a personal one. You announced in November that you were diagnosed with cancer of the esophagus, and you immediately started chemo and immunotherapy. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I feel very strong, as you can tell.
Yeah,
I've lost a little weight, but the prognosis is good. I just talked, in fact, to my doctor today, and the tests coming back are really, really hopeful and positive. So I feel full of, energy and ready to take on this task. And I was very gratified that in explaining that to my colleagues, they ratified and validated my candidacy for this job.